Indapan is from the Saddlebag exchange, and I'm going to have a wonderful conversation with him about some of the upcoming changes to their website and how you can potentially leverage those to make some gil with the housing market changes.
Hey, how's it going?
It's going well, Indo. Oh, looks like everyone can hear you. Perfect. So everything's working.
All right.
Great. How are you today? Did you sleep well? I forget if you're
Yeah, doing
West
good.
West Coast, East Coast. Remind me, whereabouts are you?
I'm East Coast.
Okay, it's a little bit later for you. Fortunately, it's not too early right now.
Oh, it's all good. Nah, this is a time that works great for me.
Hmm. Yeah, it's
And,
good. You having a good weekend? Any plans?
oh yeah, I'm just kind of relaxing today. I got to do some work
Yeah.
travel next week. So, no,
Oh,
but this is a good
nice.
time because I've just been doing a lot of work for these like new tools because I actually had some similar interest in the WoW front where
Okay.
basically trying to build some more complex tools and I'm like, "Hey, I've got basically data that I think would be I basically had a WoW user that would reach out and said, "Hey, we'd like to see, groups of data over time." They actually used my market share
Yeah.
and they snapshotted it once per week and they used it to basically build investment guides for there was a
Interesting.
new raid release for WoW. So they're like,
Right.
yeah, this identifies like buying times and patterns and like different items. So I said, "Hey, I can probably do the same thing for Final Fantasy as well." And
Yeah.
yeah, the great thing is for WoW, I had to basically this is data I was collecting for
Mhm.
maybe like 2 years. For Final Fantasy, I didn't have to do that because Universalis was already collecting the data, and I could just put a
Oh,
table
okay.
together and get a new tool.
Okay, that's really cool. Yeah, and just to let y'all know here on stream, not sponsored by Saddlebag, not I've been paid by them, don't get any kind of compensation. I just think Saddlebag's a really cool tool. I use it personally, and I think it's one of the better tools here on Final Fantasy for trying to kind of get a little bit more in depth with with the market economy. Um, Japan is the what would be your official title? Founder, lead developer,
I don't know. I just go by like the creator of this
the
thing.
creator,
Uh,
the creator of Saddleback.
Creator,
Okay.
founder, whatever you want to use. I'm the guy
Mm-hmm.
who, what is my Discord role? My Discord role in my Discord is creator. So let's go by that.
Okay, we'll go by creator then. Yeah, sounds perfect. No,
Yeah.
absolutely.
And yeah, my passion is just trying to make like some cool tools and like adapt like real world financial tools so that we can like make our little like video game monies and play our markets across like multiple games. So,
Yeah,
for
and I
me, I do
know.
WoW and Final Fantasy. So yeah.
Yeah,
And
I
it's
know.
great because there's a lot of overlap between the two
Yeah,
games.
and I know a
Yeah.
lot of my viewers come from a variety of different games where they're just very passionate about merchanting. A lot of RuneScape viewers, a number of WoW merchants, auction house sharks, and a number of Final Fantasy viewers as well. So I think I'm just always surprised at how much overlap there is in market theory and how to kind of think about markets, approach markets. I talk with folks from time to time that recommend different real life economy books to me as far as how to think about supply and demand and how it applies in different game economies. So I'm glad we can have this conversation and kind of dig a little
Yeah.
bit deeper. So one thing I know I talked about with you about briefly on Discord is that we've kind of moved past the most recent patch where we for those that aren't familiar with it, I'm apologies in advance because I know you are, but for the viewers, there was a great deal of demand for limited for one-off use materials in the game, like materia or items that enhance gear. For those that don't play Final Fantasy 14, but now those items, the demand's kind of trickling down because there was a new patch. That demand spikes significantly, make millions of gil. Now the demand's not there anymore. But there's an upcoming update where the size of player housing is going to be expanded on, or to be more specific, if you own a house or an apartment or some kind of player housing in game, you can make the interior of your property larger, which is something that a lot of players are looking forward to because it's going to let them place more interior furnishing items. And so I think this has a potential to really disrupt the housing market in some very significant ways. And I know I'm not the only one who's looking forward to this, both on a personal level. I mean, I'm looking forward to putting more things inside of my apartment, right? I still have yet to win a house since I started playing in September. I know I'm not the only one. But I would love to talk with you not only about what's new on Saddlebag, but also about how players could maybe use some of your tools to try and look at maybe historical data or historical trends or items that are currently in demand for players who do own houses, and try and maybe make some predictions or make some educated determinations as to what might continue to be in demand or be in more demand when this housing update drops, because obviously that's going to lead to a lot more demand for interior furnishing items. So people are going to need new chairs, new tables, right? New curtains. If you're following my drift.
Yeah. And this is also I really appreciate you and your audience, because this is something I personally could use help with as well, because I have a lot of these generic tools that will let you search for everything, but you kind of have to know what you're looking for to narrow it down and actually
Right.
get it to the point where you understand it and you can actually say, all right, I think this is something really good. And so for that
Yeah.
game knowledge with Final Fantasy, that's definitely something I'm lacking a little bit. I could definitely share
Yeah.
from, WoW experience, and we could kind of
Absolutely.
make that over to Final Fantasy, since we have the same tool basically for both games now.
Right.
And
Right.
yeah, I guess it's just trying to figure out how do we use this new tool, and of course feedback,
Sure.
bugs. It's because this new tool is, I haven't even released it into the main site yet. It is still a work in progress.
Oh.
But I think it's just getting some
It's
examples to show
still on the
people like
alpha developer
use.
preview website, but anyone can access this, right? It's
Yep,
free
it's
free to use
free. Yeah,
here.
it's
Yeah.
open there. It's basically just a little nice build thing so that we can
Sure.
preview things before it goes in for the final version.
Okay.
So, and
Great.
and please join in the Discord and give feedback too. I really appreciate that as
And
well.
what's the link for the Discord for those that
Uh,
might not be a part?
well, if you look on our website, there's a big fat button that says "Join our Discord," and there's also that little
Fantastic.
question mark in the
Okay.
corner is like, oh, if you need help, it
Great.
joins you in.
Okay.
So yeah,
Perfect.
by all means, we have many other tools as well, and always looking for new suggestions. I think it was
Great.
on the last call we actually, that's something I was thinking of, that I believe it was,
Hmm.
who was it? Exile was saying, hey, I'd really like a
Yes.
market share over time. And then I had this WoW
Yes.
player that basically did that, snapshotted the data once per week, and then just made these cool tables. And I'm like, I could do that.
Mm.
I could make that. So that's what we kind of have now.
Yeah. No, that's an excellent point. Um, yeah. No. Damn. Okay. So what tools I know when I was looking through the website there were some housing related tools that I had found
Yeah.
currently, and I would like to maybe get your just very brief, if you
Yeah.
had to elevator pitch what these were to someone,
Sure.
um,
So,
for lack of a better description, under like best deals, we have some information about furnishing
mm,
items. Under reselling trading searches, I think it was, we have a lot of information like Olivia's high
yeah. So,
investment furniture items. Like some of these appear to be related to uh, furniture and housing, and I would like to know a little bit more about the existing tools before maybe we jump into upcoming tools or ways that we can help you continue to develop tools.
absolutely. Yeah. So let's
Yeah.
go into those real quick. So you'll see that they are marked as like furnishing tools, but what they really are just tool presets. Everything you see on, if you go to the best deals menu or whatever you do when you click on that sidebar or the links, that is actually, it's all the same tool and the same API. It's just different presets. So with these, for like what you're seeing right there, is that's the best deals tool, but that's filtered just to housing related items. So if you really just want to flip housing, then yeah, that's what you do. So to go over
Okay.
those other tools very quickly, um, the reselling is like an import search, because that's most players,
Okay.
you play on maybe one server, so you're going to be
Right. Right.
buying. Oh, if you want to flip to it.
Oh,
Yeah,
my
so you're
bad,
going
my
to be
bad.
buying from
Okay.
other servers, and you can even zoom out and like you can move that around. But
Right.
it's a big,
Let's see
really
that.
wide table. We have a lot of data there. um, that's
Yeah.
the idea is you're comparing prices on your own server, so that's sale rates on your own server and everything of like, well, what's good on your server? What can you buy cheaply on some other server and resell on your own? So that's the main one. That's our most popular one. And to be honest, that for somebody who's just trying to do, make a little gil and do stuff, that's great. Anyone can do that. And a lot of it, you'll even find vendor items as well, because the reselling search also looks for items that you can just either buy from other servers for cheaper, or you can just buy it from a vendor and just sell it on the market board. My favorite search is honestly the vendor furniture one, where you just go up to the housing vendor, figure out what things are like cheaper from the vendor from than on the market board, and just slap it up. It takes like 5 minutes, and then it just makes free kill. But that's for small scale or somebody who's just kind of starting out. If you really want,
Yeah.
well, before I go into like the bigger tools, which are what we're making now, I'll go into the other ones. So
Sure.
market share. So best deals is a lot like this. The only difference is it's not specific to your server. What we do
Mm.
is we do a region wide average and median price
So
for whatever
across
going
all of
on.
North America, for example.
Yeah. Yeah. So we'll then use that value and say, okay, compared to whatever is the regional value of the
Hmm.
weekly, you know, median that we got, this is the best, because there are some people that they don't want it specific to a server.
Right.
They just want to see, well, whatever is just a really good deal that I should just hop on.
Now, I do have a
Um,
question for you. A quirk or a slight advantage I've built for myself is the ability to hop over to, excuse me, I might be saying the title for the region incorrectly. Oceanic, I think it is. Oceanic. Does the North American region include Oceanic market boards?
uh, I I have to double check. I think it does. I believe
Okay.
it
I would
does.
love
Search for business.
confirmation on that if it does or
Yeah, let me double check, because I think people asked me for this a while ago when they opened that up. So
okay.
yeah, I do believe the queries also include that. I'll have to double check. I'll do it after this call and just confirm. But
Okay. Yeah, I'd
I
love to.
definitely remember people asking for that. So if
Great.
you
Yeah.
see anything, what is the name of the data center for Oceania?
I have it bookmarked. Let me have a little poke over here.
Yeah, even if you go in the Saddlebag settings, it kind of tells you.
Oceana, Materia. That's the name of it.
Okay. Yep, that's the one. Okay, just search for materia in one of those, and let's see if there's anything.
Materia?
If materia, yeah,
Um,
if any materia server. So
doesn't
this
look
could
like
just
a.
be
Or sorry, that would be the
try
name. So,
reselling
Materia
search, because the best
reselling
deals is
search.
kind of like a newer one. It was
So
kind of like,
this is the reselling search, I believe. So,
yeah, oh, the import one, yeah. Import
yeah.
reselling is the same
Now, is
thing.
search going to just search for item names, or is it actually going to also
It's just going to
search?
search for strings. It's just going to search for any string. So yeah,
Okay.
you might get materia strings in there, but if you do materia and then dash, how it
Hmm.
is the servers are the data
Okay,
center
good. It does
name
include it.
dash.
Wonderful.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So I have it in the reselling. I didn't add it to best deals, but the reselling is the popular one. And like I said, they're very similar. Um, I
Sure.
just kind of had the best deals lying around for a while,
Yeah.
so I'm like, I finally
Absolutely.
made a page for it. It's nice. It's simple. People like it.
Great. Okay. No,
And
that's
then
wonderful.
yeah, so market share, we can talk about that. That is a different ball game, because I
Market
think a
share
lot of people
overview.
get
Okay.
a
Yeah.
lot of value out of that. So what this is doing is we're actually, so Square Enix and Universalis has the actual sale, the real sale data of items that actually sold. We know the quantity and the prices. So when you look on there, it is actually, you click in any of those searches, it's going to
Hmm.
show you, like, answer those questions of what
Right.
sold the most, what sold the most quantity,
Hmm.
what made the
Um,
most gil, because you want
okay.
to sell what makes the most gil, right?
Right.
You know.
So best-selling furniture, for example, we can hop into there. And now I actually looked at this just last night as
Mhm.
prior to our conversation to do a little bit of research, and I'll admit I was a little bit confused by which sort results I should be using? I played around with it a
So
bit and I got very different results. Maybe it was just me.
yeah.
So I would
So
love
this
to hear what you recommend for this.
Yeah. I'd say it's kind of up to you. So what we did here is just to kind of make sure the page loads nicely is I think it just gives you the top 200 results.
Okay.
So if you do weekly gill, that
Mhm.
means the results of this might be thousands of items, but it's whatever is the top 200 by the how much gill it made, which is basically the actual sale
Right.
amount. It's the actual money that it made.
Yep.
That's what's going to show up at the top. But if you don't want to see, well, what's making the most gill, you want to say, well, what
Sure.
sold the most? Then you click in there and you have, let's see, what are the options? I think it
Quantity
was
sold, I
quantity.
believe. Yeah. Price increase,
Yeah, it does.
purchase
I don't see the
amount.
drop down on my thing, but I can definitely, I have my own
Oh,
open. So yeah.
interesting.
So then
Why
if
it
you
doesn't
want
show on screen.
price increase percent, okay, so that's an interesting one. So that's something that jumped up in price. So that's like if you really
Hmm.
want to make Gil, this is
Yeah.
kind of how you make Gil with this is like this is something that you can tell, like, and that's why we
Let's
have a
see.
search specific to that. It's something that made a lot of Gil, but
Yeah.
either it's sold out so that there's none on your server,
Right.
or but also I should mention this tool is specific to your server.
Okay.
So um
So in this case, I happen to be on Adamantoid, so it would be there. But right, I
yeah.
understand.
So these are all items that the blue ones are pretty much it's not being sold. It's out of stock. So you can see a
Okay.
lot of things.
I'll admit that isn't clear to me at first glance. I might not understand
Yeah.
that blue is not so
Yeah.
blue is not good.
I have a written guide, but oh my yeah, it's just
Hmm.
like guides, tools, and things everywhere.
Yeah,
So
no, I would almost prefer this is just me, that the traffic light system of, oh, yellow is maybe something I shouldn't touch or red's not good, but I
yeah,
wouldn't have
I
known
mean
that
that's
if you didn't
basically
tell
what we
me.
did is
Yeah.
red is something you shouldn't touch. Red
Hmm.
is like that's we do that for prices. So
Sure.
red is something you don't touch. Green is something that's good. Yellow is like it's kind of average. And then I'm like, well, how the hell do I show the fourth
Yeah.
one? Because you have yeah, so I'm like blue. Okay, why not? That's out of stock.
Hmm.
So it was just
Right.
a color choice. It's on the guides, but obviously that's
Right,
why
of
people like
course.
you actually sharing this information and talking about it with people that helps
It's
of
like
like
I have no
explain what
idea
this
what the
is.
colors mean. It's like, well, the numbers
Yeah.
look the same, so what am I supposed to interpret this? But now looking into this a little bit more, it's like Verdant partitions. Now I can correlate that to updates, right? Like I know Verdant partitions are attainable now through cosmic exploration. I'm sure you've been enjoying that as well. I think most of us have been. It's a great time. We always love being on the moon, doing a little bit of crafting, and those have been coming into the game much more regularly, so their price has been going down. But now help me understand that in the context of these stats. Verdant partitions, they're still earning gil. The percentage changed is going down. The price is going down. Like help me understand
Yeah,
these figures.
I'm just like waiting for an ad to go through, so I'm actually trying to see what you're
Of
seeing, but my
course.
thing is like a little bit weird. Yeah, let me just hit on one of my own.
Sure,
Let me just
sure.
actually do this for myself because if I hit Mantis, I'll be able to actually see the same thing you're
No
doing, and then
problem.
I
Take
can
your
just
time. We're just running
do this.
our weekly FC event while I chat with you, so no rush
Yeah,
at
so
all.
if I click on highest price increases, that's a good one. Oh, wait, you were looking at furnishings. So really the price increase one, that's an interesting one because the rest of these are for like more market research of what you might be doing, where
Hmm.
the price increases, that's actually probably for what you might want to like sell immediately because it's not being sold on your server. So if I
Right.
do price percent increase, so again, I cap these at like a certain value just so that like the chart doesn't get like overly like crazy and stuff
Right.
like
Yeah.
that. You'll actually see the market state would say out of stock.
Oh.
And then you have all these average prices. So basically, this weekly gil earned is like from the history, we can tell that it made a lot of money. So I'm looking
Yeah.
at like maybe the first
Yeah.
one that comes up, like garlic jester seeds, whatever that is.
So
We can see that it
maybe.
made a.
Oh,
I'll go
sorry.
for it.
Go ahead. No, please go ahead.
So, oh yeah, so we can see that based on the past week of history, it definitely made a million gil. But it's if you click on the Universalis data, and I'm on Adamantois, it's just not being sold.
Hmm.
So but it's also a little bit weird. You will definitely get some weird like skill laundering items like the ones we talked about before
Right. Potential
in
real
there. I
world
try and
trading
filter it out, but
items, right?
sometimes on these extremes it is. So like if I went to the highest price increases one,
Okay.
that's kind of what, if you're looking at this one specific one, it's kind of for
Right.
that. Yeah. You're basically just seeing, well, what's out of stock that we can definitely see based on the history. It definitely, like when you go to the out of stock on reselling, a lot of
Mm,
times you don't know if that's really going to make you money because it's like how much does it really sell? Here it's like,
yeah.
okay, we have actual evidence, we have actual history that this sold, this made money. So it might be
Right.
something you could flip. But I would
Okay.
say, like
So,
I said,
looking at this chart, what indicators would an amateur look towards to maybe try and identify an item they want to keep an eye on to say, this might be an item that I might try flipping?
yeah, so let me see. And again, that's because you're if you so let me see. Like I said, for this, the out of stock for the market share is probably a good one. So you kind of look at one of these items. So like let's pick one of these which ones are the
Right.
blue squares or the out of
Um,
stock if you sort the market share. You can
right.
search by name. So hover
We
open the
have,
chart and let's find one. Okay, because I can
sure,
see your
we have
screen.
like Glade partitions here as an example.
Yeah, Glade partitions. Where is that? I'm not seeing that on your thing. Let me just pull it up on
No
mine. But
worries.
Glade partitions
It's
are a great one, as well.
Since we're
I
talking
know
about
those sell
housing
a lot.
items, yeah, or blank
Yeah, yeah.
Rivera partitions. I'm just
Glade.
ignoring the garlic jester seeds because I'm doubtful of that one being.
Yeah, that's probably like
Yeah,
that's some.
that
Yeah,
one's a
something.
little sus to me. I might check that one out on the back end. Yeah.
Yeah. Let me try to just search for it on my own and see if I can get the Glade partitions. Okay, Glade partitions. Yeah. You see something like that where I've sold it in the past before. It is good. It's commonly out of stock because this is a vendor item.
Right.
But it's you're only selling, you see 3 sales in the past week.
Mm,
It's like, are you really gonna want to do this? So
right.
again, that's where it's like deciding on if this is something you really want to flip. Sure, the opportunity is there because no one else is selling this, but
Sure.
is
Sure.
this really something that makes a lot of ill? That's where you hit that item data link to really kind of
Right.
see.
And for those on
And I guess
stream, I know I'm zoomed in a little bit much here, but there are links here to Saddlebag Exchange and Universalis on the right hand side, just to let you get
so
there
the
quickly.
item data basically shows you kind of what you're seeing there of
Mm.
that's server specific. So if something looks very weird on your one
Mhm.
server, once you zoom out to the item data, which is looking at the whole region, you'll get the real picture there and say,
Right.
okay, it's like, this
So
might not be the best or the worst. And,
say we
you know,
go zoom out to item data for Verdant partitions. I'm sure I don't let my tank die real quickly. I
yeah.
gotta do my
And I
job while I'm
also
talking to
put
you.
in, I have some notes from like, I think what we talked about last time. So
Right.
this one, for instance, because we're just trying not to spam Universalis,
Yeah.
it sells a lot because we know that. So basically my history call looks for the past weeks of data up to 7,000 entries. Beyond that, Universalis has a little bit of issues, but you get the
Mhm.
general picture here. The only thing that's going to be a little bit
I love
funky
that.
is at the very bottom.
I
There
like
is
that you
a
added that
chart.
note. That's perfect. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that was definitely necessary. That was a good thing.
It's
There is a
very good.
chart
Very good.
at the very bottom that's like, okay, here are the sales over the week. So you can kind of see
Great.
how did this actually do? Okay, well, you're
Yeah.
going to do it. Very rarely, you'll get one person that wants to totally redo their house with 45 of these. And so they'll buy it all at once. And yeah, you'll see this like basically how it works. We also I did talk last time about having this price and quantity thing. We
All right.
tried to
Great to
have that
see
in
you.
there,
Hope you're
but the
doing well
data
today.
was a little bit much for us.
Mhm.
So we kind of tried this other
Right.
strategy. It's something we can bring back, but I think it's in the future when we
So
upgrade our
talk to me
database.
about the other strategy and how it's working, how maybe how you've been using it, how some of your testers have been using it. Um,
Yeah. So this is
Great.
kind of like actually the first round we're getting it out. We just kind of finished a lot of
Okay.
this. Well, these other tools, yeah, they've been around for a while. This new investment tool is the new one we're trying to use. Um, but generally, a lot of this stuff, and I think this was something you mentioned last time, is that it's very reactive. It's like, well, what's going on now?
Yeah.
What opportunities are right there right now? You know.
Right.
So a lot of this one page is like I said, just to kind of get an idea of is this actually a good item or not?
Interesting.
So it's very interesting. It does look like it sells. It's fairly good. It also
Excluding
seems like,
quickly. I
it's
love
not
that
the
you're
worst.
listing suspicious sales too. That's
I know
fantastic.
we
Yeah.
talked about that. Yeah, where if you
Yeah.
want to go show people again, go show people the copper ring, and you'll just see all
My
these
goodness.
crazy
Yeah.
sales.
I mean, now it's you're more adept at track. I would be. God, that's a conversation for another time. I'm not going to get into it now.
I
But
think we talked
it's
about it last time of like, hey, we should have basically a shit list of all these people who are obviously
I,
doing
I
RMT
would
sales.
almost want you to like flag retainers that have been involved in suspicious sales, but
Oh yeah,
then I might get flagged for the goblin mask that I
I know.
listed for 1 mil.
Yeah.
But so I might not want you to do that. It's just a meme. Um,
Yeah. But yeah,
anyways,
like this is just like the idea of like sometimes you will go to the market board and you'll
yeah,
see what
it's
is this
ridiculous.
copper ring? Why is it selling for 5 million? And the whole point of this is just to tell you, yeah, this is don't think about this as what you're gonna get. This is way
Skews your
outside of the
averages, but it shows that you're aware of it and you're trying to filter that out. Whereas Universalis, I don't know if they do such a good
no,
job of
they
that.
don't.
It
They
so
don't because they're just
it's
providing
just
you
not
raw
priority.
data.
Yeah,
So
right.
yeah, that's part of why we exist is to actually get like real numbers and try and filter some stuff. So,
Right. No,
that's
it's
part of our
excellent. I'm
feature.
glad you're trying to do that. So let's talk about other tools that could be useful for the upcoming housing update. Like what current
Okay.
tools exist that I'm not aware of that I might want to be using going into the housing update
Okay.
to try and find items or track items that I could potentially make ill off of when the housing update drops.
So I've got two more to basically kind of
Okay.
check out. I think there would one that just be a brief showcase because I think we already talked about it. The
Sure.
craft sim one. So that one is like obviously if you're not just flipping materials, but you're actually crafting things.
A lot of us
Yeah,
are
like
right
I
now,
think you
especially with the update
have.
that just dropped. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Okay.
I don't believe I've made. Oh, okay. I do have a furniture and glamour one. So yeah, like obviously that's one that is good
Nice.
as well. And then we have the shopping list that pairs with that and
Okay.
shows you, hey, here's where to
Wonderful.
get your stuff. So yeah, like
And
maybe just we'll go
just
into one of these searches.
just
Um,
see what it is off the top of our head.
so yeah,
Oh
if you scroll all
goodness.
the way down, you can select multiple categories. So
Okay, and
I
in
would
this
unselect
case, we
that.
would be. Oh, it's pre-selected. Wonderful. I love that.
Yep, that's the whole point of all these kind of searches that we're
Okay.
filling it all in for you. So it's
Right.
like,
Okay.
it's the same tool, and you can share this, you can bookmark this, you can change it how you
Mm.
want.
Right, because the
And
link is
yeah,
unique to everything that's been inputted here. Okay, and oh, only one item came up. Very
yeah,
interesting. So
sales
only.
are slow. Sales are slow right now. So if you adjust
Right.
those sale amounts or something, you'll get
Mm,
like more.
yeah.
Because I think, let's see, this
That
was
is a high number. 400 sales per week for housing items is a bit aggressive with that filter. But if I
yeah.
change it down to like 10, for example, now that's an interesting result. Infinite
So
profit estimated per graph. That's a
so
little
again,
suspicious.
it's not being sold on Adamantoise right now. So there are
Oh.
none. So you could sell it for any
Okay,
price that you want.
so that symbol indicates there are none for sale. Oh, gotcha. Okay.
Yep, and you obviously just click on Universalis and you'll see the same exact thing, and they'll like
Right.
say like, "Oh yeah,
That'll
no listings
reconfirm
available."
for me.
Sometimes the data
Interesting.
is a little bit off for us
Right.
because there is like a few minutes between when we
Mm-hmm.
get the data from Universalis, but
Yeah.
that's pretty much up to date. And yeah, this is again, this is more of the
Okay.
reactive. No one's
Yeah.
selling the manor
Sure.
carp or whatever it is. Yeah,
Absolutely.
you know.
But it obviously leading up to an update, crafting, buying items, trying to be
Yeah.
stocked up and ready to sell things is excellent. So that this is probably a wonderful tool to use, or at least I could see myself beginning to use this particular tool to try to find items to craft leading up to a housing update. Excuse me. It is a little unfortunate that I can't look back in time to maybe see what items were really popular during a
Okay.
previous housing board
Okay.
update. But
All right.
what
I
else? What
think this
else
is a good
do we have?
transition.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so this is a good
Yeah.
transition.
Okay.
And
Great.
is there a way maybe I can share my screen through Discord? So I've got some pre-made searches of the brand new tool, and this is the
Okay.
one that's really going to be answering those questions that you
Yeah.
had.
Yeah.
Of like,
Go ahead
oh,
and share your screen. It'll take me a second to pull it up on stream, but it won't take too
let's
long.
hope this works pretty good. So yeah, we'll see how this works out. All right, can you see my screen right now?
Okay.
Yeah, let me know when it's up, and I can just kind of.
Here we go. We're gonna do this, and I'm gonna just swap you over.
Let's hope this works. I can also just kind of show you how to share it on your own screen afterwards, but
It's likely
hopefully,
better
yeah,
if
just let me know
you
when you're
walk
ready to
us
go.
through it. Oh, no, there's your screen.
Okay, great.
Okay. And I'm gonna do everyone a favor and just put you front and center because I'm sure they don't care too much about our treasure hunting stuff. That's not what they're here for this instant.
Yeah.
Perfect. You have the stage. Talk us through what we're looking at. Do me a
All
favor
right.
though, and kind of zoom in. Control plus once or twice just to make the text as readable as you can for those that may
Yeah, is
have
that
low vision.
better?
We try to be accessible in this room. Yeah, it's wonderful. Thank you.
Oh yeah. This is
Appreciate it.
and fair warning, this is a tool that is going to work better on a bigger screen as well.
Okay. Good to know.
And so this unique tool we haven't put in the main website, but how our website works is that we get this build page while we're working on something, which you can probably drop this in chat or
Yeah.
wherever, so that people can
Absolutely.
actually get this track.
How
Because it
about
is
what we
live.
do for my community is we pin it in our my Discord's announcement channel. How do you feel about that?
Perfect.
Something special for my
Perfect. And then
community to
once
kind
we
of get provide, and maybe we can
merge
funnel
it
some
in, we can up.
feedback back to you that way. So if folks aren't a part of my Discord, they can exclamation point in Discord and chat, join in, and I can help collect any feedback that people have if they have any. I don't know how much we'll get, but does that sound good?
Yeah, I'll try and hop in Discord and do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so the URL, and I'll update the URL, give
Yeah.
you the new
Just
one. Basically,
toss
it's
me the
just
URL
this
and we'll go from there. Yeah.
is gonna change to just Saddlebag Exchange once it's done. But
Yeah.
yeah, I'll walk you through what this is and
Cool.
how to use it. And I have some comparisons from WoW because we've got a similar tool. But this is basically the tool that's going to let you look back in time, see past trends, and extrapolate that over the new ones. And it is pretty complex. I do need to make a written guide for it, but yeah, I'll walk you through it. So what you're going to do is you're going to choose what time you want to basically look back into.
Okay.
We have data up to 2022 for basically for Oceania because we were able to pull that a little bit
Wow.
more. For North America and the other ones, I
That's
think it's about
insane.
2023.
Yeah.
So we have years and years. We don't have the full expansion cycle because
Okay.
Universalis had an outage in late 2022. So that's kind of the
Oh,
extent to
for
our
about how
data.
long? Just short outage or long one? Curious.
Oh no, it was basically they just lost the past data, so it
Oh,
just
I
got
understand.
erased.
So data
Yeah,
erasure.
so
Okay, I
we
understand. Well,
I think
that's still
Universal
plenty of data.
still
And folks
yeah.
can correlate this with housing ward releases, looking them up on the wiki as well, if I'm not mistaken. Interesting.
Yeah, so that's what you're definitely gonna have to use this for. Is you're gonna have to look. Like, I don't include events along the time scale we're gonna see, but let me walk you through the user interface at least first, and then we'll get to that. So you
Absolutely.
also
Yeah.
kind of have to do this different. So you can only look at NQ or HQ only at a time. But what you're gonna do is you're gonna make price groups on what you want to see, and also just very quickly
Yes.
the settings in our database. We're constantly collecting the medians, averages, quantity sold, which is the actual number. If something sells in stacks, it's going to be higher, or sales amount is individual sales. So if it sells in stacks, you're going to see lower sales amount. If it's just like furnishing, where it's you can only sell them stacks of one, these two are basically going to be the same data.
I'm
So,
sorry. I don't quite follow you on that. Could you maybe word that in a different way for me?
oh,
I'm
sure.
sure I'm not the
I
only
think
one.
oh yeah, a good way to do this is
Maybe an
let's
example. Yeah.
see. So you see how an individual furnishing item they sell
Sure.
in only
Oh,
one at a
absolutely.
time,
You
right?
can't stack them. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's why you have that stack of one.
Right.
Versus if we do something like just a general commodity. So orange juice, which can stack up, or even I should show the crystals because those stack a little bit more. If we
Right. Up
want
to
to.
10,000 for crafting crystals, I believe.
Yeah, so you'll see the stacks. And we
Okay.
also do this in our item data of that's a big question too of well, what's the best stack size to sell? So, we have something like this. So you can see like, okay, this is something that
Mm-hmm.
the quantity is the actual amount being sold where the sales are, something like
Right.
that. So it's like the individual purchases or sales. The quantity is
Good.
you sell a stack of 99 orange juices and you sell 10 of those. Well, you've made 10 sales and each one is 99. The
Okay.
total quantity you're selling is, 9,900, but you've made 10 sales, right?
Right. So quantity sold, going back to the original quantity sold, is 10 sales, whereas the other setting sales amount is 999. If that
Oh
in that
no, it's
example,
the opposite. It's the
swap
opposite.
it
I
around.
would
So
say for this,
quantity
for the
sold
most
counts
part,
individual items, but sales
yeah,
amount counts just individual listings. You might say.
yeah. If
Okay.
I buy one stack of 99, I've made one sale. If
Okay.
I
Right.
buy one stack of 99, I have
Yeah.
bought 99 quantity.
I
Does that
think
make sense?
listings for sales amount makes a little bit more sense to me personally.
Yeah,
That's great to know.
probably.
Thank you.
I
Yeah.
mean, basically, I think what you're going to want to do is you're going to want these to leave these as defaults. I'm just
Sure.
explaining them
Of
because
course, of course. So you recommend the
yeah,
default settings when you come in here for most of this. I understand.
yeah, pretty much.
Great.
And then
Yeah.
yeah, the big thing is the price groups. So what you're going to
Okay.
do is you're going to basically give it a name for whatever you want. Like I could do, let's see, materia. So I want to maybe do let's do strength materials or something like that.
Right. And
And so you're
these
going
are
to
the
basically
items that
add,
were selling really hot going into the previous update for context. Right?
so you just kind of give it a little name, and this is just for the UX. And then you're going to either add the individual items that you want. So one at a time, which is honestly right now, this is what I recommend because we're still kind of working on
Mm-hmm.
how best to kind of put the materials together. So you can add them one at a time, or you can choose a general filter and you can just say, I want all the material there.
Okay.
And
Great.
you basically select multiple ones. I'm going to unselect this because what I'm noticing is you will get a ton of items if you do
There's a
this. I'll
lot.
show
Yeah.
that in a minute. And then you add the group. And then you can add multiple groups. So you just keep making each group that you want.
Okay.
And it's going to also have this data. So you can actually copy this to your clipboard and reuse it.
Save it in a
So if
text
I'm
document if
going,
you want to use it in the future. Yeah.
yeah, it's so you can share
Fantastic.
it. So you see it
Yeah.
resets. But if I want to go back into it, I just paste my little text
Great.
document
Yeah.
in and it all pops back up.
Wonderful.
And so I even had to try to make some pre-made ones. So I'm going to take one of these where I try to collect a whole bunch of materials together.
Okay, so we're adding all the items to a list that we might be potentially interested in, to researching past pricing data for.
Yep, pretty much. And this is
Great.
definitely something that you as a content creator can do for your users of, yeah, I've got how this works. I'm going to show how to
Yeah,
take a look at this for other people.
I think
So
we'll give
once you
this a
have it
try
kind
on
of,
stream.
yeah,
Perhaps on Monday.
yeah,
This could be really fun. Yeah,
yeah, I've got this link up here I can share with you real
absolutely.
quick. Just so if I think I've already shared this a few times, but yeah,
Yeah,
this is
yeah,
where I'm just kind of collecting some pre-made searches that I have in here. But yeah,
sure.
then once you're good to go, you hit just search the groups, and then it's going to go
Okay,
ahead. And then this
it's
is
very
what we're
interesting.
looking for.
Very exciting. Yeah,
Yeah. So, and I guess we're very zoomed in as well. But yeah, this
that's good.
shows you like so you can compare how groups did differently. So, for instance, I'm doing this for WoW as well. What I'm doing is I'm looking at totally different groups of commodities. So I'm looking at like, hey, I want to see how my jewel crafting did versus my cloth, my
Right.
leather, my ores, inscription. So basically, you can actually see, well, what am I going to go into? Is cooking better than if I invest in herbs or ores? And not only that, among that group, what are the good performers and the bad performers? So maybe for WoW, I don't want to invest in sanctified alloy because that you saw that dropped, but
Right.
something
Yes.
like the bismuth, which is the general ore that's most used in WoW, and you can even see this
Hmm.
on the little market share that
I'm sure
it's
my WoW auction sharks love kind of
like,
seeing this data, then confirmation on it. Right.
yeah. And this is basically what we did as well of like, okay, this is like confirmation of this was a good
Yeah.
investment. And we can even like for WoW, I have this is the past expansion. So WoW, everything it's very rare you would reuse commodities. There's a very new thing for WoW that it is, but
Right.
you can actually see, okay, this is how Ore did during a patch for a recent raid release
Mm-hmm.
for World of Warcraft. And then
Sure.
compare that to, like basically what went on for Dragonflight for the last expansion, the last patch cycle. And in this chart, let me switch over to Final Fantasy so we kind of get
Sure.
an idea.
It's
You can
great to
go
have
into the
comparisons of
individual.
how this works for multiple games. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's the chart works the same way, and I definitely want to go over that. So yeah, you can basically see how all of your groups are performing. You go into an individual group and you can compare all these items. So it's like, hey, I don't want to do the Craftsman Materia X, which was,
Mhm.
I think that was the last one, but you saw,
Yeah.
oh, there were some that really went up in price. So you try to identify what are the things that do good in patch cycles and say
Right.
basically save yourself the money of wasting it for something that just isn't going to do
Sure.
good. Like there was
Absolutely.
a very interesting one I did for cloth for WoW, if I show it, where it's actually we identified that there was kind of a hype cycle and a sales cycle where it's like this is the actual announcement of the release date where people are,
Mm.
prices are low, then it's announced and people jump on the hype train and they try and buy up
Right.
materials before prices go
Yes.
up.
Absolutely.
But what you'll actually see here is different material. People were hyped for the dusk weave, but what actually performed well was the weaver cloth, and the dusk weave just went went to
Yeah.
trash.
Yeah.
So you can
Interesting.
eat. So the whole point is look at the past data and compare the different items so that you are going into the right one. So for Final Fantasy, you can actually see this as well. Like, and I actually had one of our users knows a lot more about this and does this materia flipping game. So they actually saw, like, this is something that let's see if I did this for. Oh, I think that's because we're doing the other dates. So let me also go to the one. Okay, so this is the one that I had. And let me explain this chart a little bit more. Obviously, switching these tabs is these are the little groups you made. So all the items you made in your groups, they're going to be in
Mm-hmm.
these tabs.
Okay.
You can also change the time scale. So if you want to zoom in
Yeah.
on certain times, you can change that. You can also change the y-axis. So it's like, yeah, nothing's going to really go under 100%. So we might want to have like, we'll zoom in there so that you can do it. Sometimes you have to also just put it really high or
Okay.
something like that. So let's say we wanted to zoom in and just say, well,
A
whatever, we
little
know that
bit
one.
more refined. Yeah. Oh, that's useful. Right.
Yeah.
Because
And so you
obviously
can
we may not be
also,
looking for the biggest movers. You can still make profit off of a 200%,
hmm,
100%. It's not a question of that. Now, do you mind showing a stream an example of housing items specifically, since I know that's kind of
yeah.
our main
So
topic
I've
today?
got this. Let me see, where am I?
Sure.
Because yeah,
Sure.
I had that example here of like what I did for this is like I said, I basically just picked a bunch of items off
Hmm.
of this list and
Okay,
then
so you're
put them
combining
in.
tools that are available. That's great. Yeah.
Yeah, I think what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to make a slight change to this soon because I think one thing that I'm doing just to compare the tools side by side is for WoW, the more specific you get with your groups, the better. So
Mm-hmm.
for World of Warcraft, we actually have you can sort by quality. So this might be
Hmm.
high versus low. And WoW, there are 4 types of qualities. I know it's confusing. We also have the
So much has
expansion,
changed
so you
since I
can
play. Yeah. Sorry.
filter all of this.
That's
I
great.
think what might actually work better for Final Fantasy because there's so many items, and there's a lot less in WoW, so it makes it easier. Is
Yeah.
I think what I'm eventually going to do is I'm going to do the same exact thing where on market share you see that you can sort by average price and sale amount. I think I'm going to also try to add that in here so you can,
Mm-hmm.
instead of just doing a category filter, you can do a category filter, but also you want to filter out the stuff that's just making no gil, just so that
Right.
doesn't spam the
Okay.
list.
No, that
That's
makes
something I'm going
perfect
to do.
sense.
So
Yeah.
yeah, looking at furnishing specifically. So I just tried to take a few. I think it's
That's a
going to need a
lot. That's
little
kind of
bit of work.
overwhelming. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I also just wanted to like just finish showing like, okay, here's how
Oh
the
yeah.
chart works. So if you're really looking for the high earners,
Absolutely.
you can say, okay, I don't want to see this
Sure.
one that went over 300%.
That's a
I
good
want to
point.
get rid of that. I want to just say because sometimes it's an outlier and it's like,
Yeah,
well, the
that might not
price
be
went
that
up a
useful.
lot,
How
but it's
many
not really
actually
that
sold though?
useful.
Like, what was that? Just like a couple outliers on one server? Like, yeah.
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 So in that case, that is actually a good item, but that lets you just quickly, if you have, so by default, if there's more than 50 items, it's not going to have it selected. So you can
Okay.
actually load this chart. For this one, it's like, it's under 50, so it loads, but you're going to want to filter it down. So like, let's
Sure.
say, for instance, I only want to see the stuff that at some point, let's say I started buying at whatever time. So the chart starts at 0%, whatever your buying time is. So like, let's say, for instance, that you were gonna just go ahead, buy some stuff in at the end of 2023 and then
Sure.
resell it now. I know, crazy thing, but it might be more realistic of
Might go
we're
up over
buying it
time.
right
Yeah.
now on May 3rd. Well, what's going to happen over the next patch?
Sure.
So we want to see, well, what went up. So this exclude is obviously, it strips out those extreme outliers. So
Sure.
like I said, I want to exclude anything. I don't want to see anything that went like just down to nothing. To strip those out. That's good for the exclude outside. That excludes the ones that go really low or really high. The inclusive one is kind of the reverse. So this one is a little bit more complex. You're going to want to use one of these and leave the other one as any. Let's say I only want to see things that went above, that doubled in price from that time. Then we can really filter down to what are the good performers, what at least jumped up in price at one point, or we can even do this like a lower percent, like what at least went up 50% in price, because there's still a good price increase from that.
Absolutely.
And you can then identify, here are those specific items that are maybe worth investing. So let's take a look at the Watcher's interior wall.
Right,
So
that I see a lot of jumping on that price. Like sometimes it's at 100%, sometimes it's 300. Like maybe it's a good item to craft or purchase or try and acquire. However I mean, you could look at item sources. You could try and buy it when it's cheap. I mean, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. One thing I did notice that is worth pointing out, and it seems kind of obvious, is that so I still need to basically relate this to specific events and say, yeah, like maybe under this new housing lottery, we did have a spike. So we're gonna have to find the date of that happening and see that. But what you do definitely see is, you'll notice around July was the was the new expansion, and that's what kind of happens is people are not doing their housing when there's other things to do.
They're doing the MSQ. They're
See,
doing quests. Yeah, that makes sense. Absolute sense.
you're seeing a massive dip in prices for all furnishing. So yeah, that is actually something worth noting, is a great buying opportunity.
Yeah.
Is that expansion, because people stop doing housing, and we can. So now let's talk about this bottom chart.
So probably
So this is
worthwhile.
also
In my community, we might try and make a list of expansions were released here, here, here. There were big patches here, here, here. Housing updates were here, 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 to try and like give us some indication as to why maybe there was movement on charts at certain moments.
Exactly, like that's what I was doing basically.
Analysis. Yeah.
Same here, where you see the actual raid release for the WoW. The recent one was that right there in March, and then you see the past one, which was, I believe, this is actually kind of interesting if I go the OR route and I just show everything for WoW, because there was a very specific event that changed how. Let's see, maybe I zoom in a little bit more.
Yeah.
If I go to one of these, if I go to, so I'm also going to very quickly exclude everything. I'm going to just do this. So here's a quick tip: if you just want to clear out this chart, zero it out.
Right.
So this is only stuff that's saved at 0. Oh, it doesn't want.
Sure.
Let's see. Let's try that. Yeah. So okay,
Funny
we
how
cleared
it's
out
not
the
that
chart,
different
and I'm
between
going to
games.
just show
How you interpret this data.
Yeah. So here's like two specific ores. So this is basically beginning of the last WoW expansion to, it kind of hit a bottom. And then they, in the new expansion, what came in April, they basically made a new mount, and you would use old materials to make it. So that's why you see price, if we look back into anything that was like way back in time. So we're seeing like, let's see, early 2004. We look at some price for these, and the price was pretty low. Maybe like 1 or 2 gold per. And then you see right now, because people stopped farming it and there's new stuff, that the price jumped up basically 10 times the amount.
Wow. Okay.
And so you'll see these kind of buying and selling opportunities depending on game events of new raid. It's a new expansion. Okay, everything drops down. Oh wait, we're bringing back a use for old materials, jumps up. That's actually exactly what we see with this gatherer stuff, because I had basically someone who really knows the game kind of told me about how this works. yeah, because everyone needed to gather at the beginning of this expansion, there was something with pentamelding on the Gatherer's Grasp 2. This was
Right?
an item that wasn't used for many expansions
It
and then just
wasn't.
got
Yeah.
it got new use right now. So if we look at the very beginning of the chart
Yeah.
for something like Gatherer's Grasp 2,
Mhm.
it was maybe selling for about 170. There's maybe 2,000 sales region
Mhm.
wide. It was maybe on a weekly average making maybe 400,000
Yeah.
gil
And
versus okay, now it's something that wasn't used for many, many, many years. Now has brand new use. And I believe this was like, yeah, let's look at the top one, which was the 14.
right.
Yeah, you'll see this Gatherer's Graphs too. Remember, it was worth making at one point maybe 400,000.
121k each. That right? No, it's hard to get the low tier ones though.
Yeah,
Wow, that's insane.
yeah.
That
So
well, I
you see
mean,
that now
little tip
this
for
had
folks
use.
now. We're still flipping. My group and I are actually flipping one of the lower tier ones. It's like the +8 control point one. It's going for absurd amounts right now. I mean, some of these lower tier gatherer ones are just nuts around every time there's a crafting update that comes out. I mean, I'm sure we can see it in this graph right now as well. Uh,
Yeah, but you'll also
yeah.
what's interesting is you see which
So
because you have so many varieties, which ones are the good ones to invest in
yeah.
and which ones are not. So that's the whole
Right.
goal of you don't waste your money doing this
Yeah.
when you really want to do this one.
Right. No, there's always a particular.
Yeah, yeah. So you'll have that to be able to basically filter this out. And yeah, that's what this chart is down here. And we've also got something very interesting. So obviously, with the item data link, we have the universalis link, and we have all the data in the table of you have the delta, which is how has the price changed
Yeah.
versus our starting point. So obviously, if you bought, even if we redid this search, and you have this again at the bottom there, and the neat thing is, if you do categories, it's going to show you
Yeah.
the individual items so that you can filter it again. So go ahead, and we'll search again, but maybe we'll change this to like, let's say you were buying, right at. So I think this one was. Let's say you started buying 2004
Sure.
around. Let's say May. Please enter a month.
Okay.
Let's say you started buying around May and your goal was selling 2004 around, basically, let's say by November, whatever.
Okay.
Just
Yeah.
put in some numbers so
Absolutely.
that we narrow it down. And yeah, so that's very realistic. You buy 2 months before the expansion releases, and then you
Hmm.
get that sale. So you're like, okay, if I bought 2 months before,
Right.
I bought my craftsman's, and it does have a, let's see, which was the craftsman's cop. Oh, gatherers, that's the one we were looking at.
I mean, you could argue
Yeah.
we're about, maybe about 2 months before the housing update right now. So it could be
Yeah,
considered the optimal timing to begin preparing for that update. I'd argue that's probably the optimal timing to begin preparing for any update, because prices are
yeah,
probably as normalized as they're going to be leading up to a piece of content.
yeah. Because we can even
Yeah.
see this gatherer's graph too. Before, like I said, gatherer's graph too, 300 gil. Then we
Wow.
focus into the expansion. Oh, look at, oh, wait, no, gatherer's graph too. So
Scary.
it went from 300 to 5,000. And then
Yeah.
we see right now, well, the hype wave is over and it's back down. It's still up, but it's still back down. That could
Yeah.
just be weekly variance or whatever, you know.
Right.
But
No.
yeah, so you're just kind of trying to see trends and items. It's definitely going to need with Final Fantasy. I notice it's going to have, especially with this materia, game knowledge. Game knowledge is going to be very
Yes.
important to see, well, what's
Right.
not the strength savage might materia. Maybe it's sell, and this is, I think it was a big seller on the market share, but it's like it really hasn't had that much activity or anything like
Yeah.
that versus you have some, which I think there was one that was going up in price, the craftsman material. So maybe there's new crafting going on or whatever this is used for.
Yeah.
This is just a kind of route example. And just going more into this chart, obviously you change the date, it changes all of these values. You can sort, you can search, whatever. This market share is just to give you an estimate. It's just taking these two values, multiplying them together. So
Okay.
this is how to sort it. You have the name, and you can obviously remove or add items from either, clicking inside of here or here. You can search for specific items, by
Yeah.
searching this.
So
And then there's one thing that is interesting, and that is the price versus quantity. So all of these values, the price and how the price changes and the quantity changes, you can click this button and you can see, okay, on a week by week average, this is kind of what it was doing. So you can actually compare them and actually see like,
okay. Yeah,
how
a little bit more
does this
insightful.
relate to the buying pressure and the selling
Quantities
pressure?
down, price goes okay. Wow,
And this
that
is
is
this is taken
so
from WoW,
valuable.
where the
Yeah,
actual quantity for you, this is the quantity of how much is being
yeah.
bought and how
Okay.
much is being sold. Where WoW, it's actually the inverse because this is the actual quantity that we don't have sale history,
Mm-hmm.
we have the average. So you'll actually see the inverse of more
Mm-hmm.
quantity means there's more on the market, which pushes prices down. Like if I go to my let's see the if I go to the WoW ones that I was using before, cloth. Yeah, you'll see
Yeah.
for the Dawn Weave, Dawn. This is different again, just for anyone who's using both. You'll
Mm-hmm.
see increasing quantity, press down prices. Let's
It's
see,
all
Dawn
clearly
Weave.
labeled, so it's not too much of a concern. But I have a big question for you. So this is on, or this is on the official version of the site. That at least that I noted the address bar for the tab you
Mhm.
were just on looked to be on the main version of the site. Um, when is, or no, this one's on the alpha version of the site. When is this all moving over to the official version of the website?
Oh, basically just when I finish it. So I just got this into a working state so that it has kind of all the features we're looking for of
Okay.
we can filter everything working, like it's got still like there's still things I'm going to change. Like I said, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to have also the average price and sale amounts. I'm going to add that into the price groups as an option.
Okay.
I just got it working today with the table, and so you can even download a
Nice.
CSV of these tables if you want an Excel
Wonderful.
spreadsheet, or just
Yep.
copy the raw data and just getting this request. So I'm just getting all the bits and pieces working. I'd say
Oh,
probably another week. So it's you can use it right now, but it's still going to be
sure.
improved. And I'm just going to let you know when I'm like, okay, I think this is good. It's a final version. I'm
Yeah.
putting it in, and then it's not going
Yeah.
to really change that often. Um, but yeah, this is kind of how it is. And here's a like good example. And this is definitely something I'm asking for you and all of your viewers is
Sure.
try this out. Try to make cool groups and share it because we would really
Okay.
like the same way. I think it makes it very helpful on like the market shares where you
Right.
have
Yeah.
all of these pre-made searches so you know what you're kind of how to use the tool.
Now,
Like that's what we're basically doing for this. That's the next step
I have one
of
more
we've got
question for you.
the whole
If it, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but would you be open to me potentially tossing this to some of my like very expert RuneScape econ nerds and
oh please
saying,
do share this with
now,
everyone you can. The
I
more
I
feedback,
want I want to ask you though, would you ever be open to considering implementing RuneScape econ data in some
I'm
capacity?
glad you
If
asked that. That is
no,
actually my next thing that I'm
okay,
thinking of.
so
So
you're
right
open
now,
to it. It's not something you're close to. That's
oh no, yeah, it's just
great.
it's work, it's time for me,
Sure.
and when I have time available, that's
Right.
actually what I want to do with this is because we started out as Final
Yeah.
Fantasy, and then me having
Now,
my
there are a lot of tools already, but you kind of offer this extra layer of data processing and filtration that I know folks would be really interested in. So
yeah,
maybe I can run this by a couple of them and ask them to say like, hey, can you work this and pretend that these items are things that in RuneScape that you'd be interested in, and like just hey,
yeah,
give some feedback on how you would like to be able to manipulate the data or kind of get some information out of it. Just
yeah,
have them go at it like
absolutely.
that.
So that is, I'd say that's a long-term goal of, yeah,
Sure.
like
Yeah,
what
long
you'll
term,
see
obviously.
in
Yeah.
Saddlebag is the same tools. Like I said, we have the same tool
Okay.
for WoW. We're like,
Yeah.
this can work for this because this is something that, and is very interesting just seeing as like game economies is you will have this boom and
There's
bust
so much
cycle of
overlap.
every time that there
It's
is a new patch or new
there's an
thing,
update,
you
an
have a
expansion. Yeah.
guaranteed bull market.
Oh
And then
yeah.
afterwards, you have a guaranteed bear market. So it's like you
Yeah.
have a definitely predictable buying and selling
Okay.
period, and a tool that can really showcase this
Yeah.
I think would be useful across generally all MMOs and anything that has this
Right.
kind of
And I will
thing.
say
I
you
was
have,
also thinking,
in my opinion, out of any service that because for clarity for my fans, I pay for Saddlebag's premium subscription on their Discord. I don't ever accept free stuff in case I find something problematic. Then I reserve the journalistic right to critique it. I wouldn't have that if I accepted free subscriptions. And they have extremely good sniping alerts on the Discord. It's that's not Indo telling me, hey,
I
can you like promote my thing? No, that's me saying like your sniping alerts for like a good deal to buy and then resell are really good. It's worth the
yeah.
Patreon subscription.
While we're here, I can
Um,
very quickly show those for anyone who's interested because these are actually very
I
cool as well.
I would have to mark it
Okay,
please don't because I
let's
would have
not
to
then.
mark the stream
Yeah.
as including promotional content, so maybe not.
Let's
But
not then.
I appreciate your enthusiasm. um,
Well, what I can
but
also show you is I can show you the totally free version of these. If
that
anyone
would be
really
fine.
wants,
Yeah, I think that's wonderful. Sure.
yeah, let's do this because I can show you something somewhat similar to what we have. But this is like a free version. So this is not for all of the sniping alerts, but this will let you set up. It's basically Python scripts you run on your own server. It uses a Saddlebag API, and you can get things like a price alert or an undercut alert to know if your items are undercut or if there's a good deal. So yeah, and you can kind of set this up in your Discord, in your own Discord, and yeah, just get these neat little alerts. We have a bot that's very nice to use that is, I'm not going to talk about it
Okay.
because it's promoted, but this is the same thing, but free for anyone who's interested.
Absolutely.
If you just want nice little price alerts, the API for this is also, let me go to that if I can. How do I do this? Oh wait, no, it's docs style exchange. We also have all of our APIs are free as well, just like the Universalis API, so you can actually look at what we have, and if you want
Nice.
to build your own, you build your own.
Okay.
But
I love that.
yeah,
Yeah,
um,
I as someone who owns my own business, I think you give away too much for free sometimes, but that's another
yeah. I mean
conversation.
that's something I have to work on in the future is actually maybe putting some paywalls on this stuff. So for the first, when it's like these are new tools, I really just want people to get some use out of like
Right.
this something like this new one and see like how do
Sure.
we actually
Yeah.
use it, and once we kind of have it, I'm definitely open because I think that's something people want as well, as they don't
Yeah.
want everyone accessing this, and they want it's the tools are going to be better if they're restricted. So yeah, that's something I'm open
Yeah.
to. Is I think these experimental tools I'm probably going to make them paywalled at some point, but at right now they're
Mhm.
available, they're free, and use it
Yeah.
how you will.
Cool. Okay.
Yeah.
This has been a wonderful conversation. I'm definitely going to make sure that we get this uploaded to my channel because I
Mhm.
think it could be useful for folks to have a look at. And I'm going to make sure I get this to some of my old contacts. But thank you again, Endo, for making the time. This has been wonderful.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
totally let me know how things go. And I think that's something I'm really interested in seeing is definitely like see what can you actually find using this tool that like kind of
hmm,
says, hey, look at this last housing event. These
sure.
items, they did really well. I think this is
Yeah,
a good investment based on the past one. Then go in and
yeah,
if you look in our Discord, you'll actually see a video of another person that did this for WoW. And
sure.
that's kind of where this is based off of. They basically said, okay, I'm gonna do this, this, and this. I'm going to do this based on past history, and then I'm going to just use this tool that we
Hmm.
just made and see, okay, after the
Yeah.
patch, we have confirmation of we bought it back then and we see how it did really good
Oh,
now.
yeah.
And yeah, just things to help people
Yeah.
use this and get
100%.
value from it. It's something
No,
I'd
we're gonna
love.
give it a go. I think we'll set it for the beginning of next week. The FC and I will be around and we'll put our heads together and see what we can come up with. I think it'd be a fun challenge. If anything, it'll be a good
Yeah,
exercise, brain exercise. So
definitely.
we'll have a go at it. It should be good.
I'd say
Great.
the main
Well,
thing is, like I said, you have these kind of preset groups. So when you make a group, if you have a good one, please share so that I can kind
Yeah,
of maybe put it
absolutely.
together, because that's what I need to do next. I need to put written guides together on how
Well,
to
if
use
anything,
all of
I
them.
think it'd just be cute to see, V's furnishing as like one of those pre-made links, and I think that'd be kind of fun. So
Oh, please, yeah.
just a
If
little
you
low key
have,
suggestion, just like where we
oh,
have all those
oh,
Olivia's groups. Like I
I,
want to see a
yeah.
V's group on there.
I'm not going to make it a low key suggestion. I'm going to make it a high key. Literally, anyone who wants to help me make a pre made search,
Yep.
if you make one, I'll even show, like, you'll actually see in the
Yeah,
market share. I had another
sure.
YouTuber, I think it was,
Oh,
what was his name? I have to just look back onto it
like
real quick. I think it
I
was,
see a lot of YouTubers that try to give Final Fantasy 14 econ advice on YouTube, but they're not referencing any data, and that just that frustrates me. It's a personal grievance coming from RuneScape,
yeah,
where
I
it's
think it
very
was,
data driven.
I
So
remember it was this guy, even Tidemore or something, that I got him
cool.
to make a
Okay.
few videos on
Yeah,
Saddlebag
yeah.
stuff. So
Oh
he
yeah.
made some searches, and I'm like, thank you so, like, if you do that, your searches will definitely go up on there, and
Great.
I'll
Love
even
it.
link your stuff and stuff. So
I love
please, by
that.
all means, anyone who wants to do that, I am
Okay.
more than happy
Yeah.
to. We just want to have those, share the knowledge.
It's fun. It's fun.
Yeah.
I think it's good exercise. So we'll have a go at it. But okay. Well, I hope you have a wonderful rest of your weekend. Do something fun before you have to go out of town for work, and we'll try not to bug you with any questions while you're out of town. But you have a good one.
Oh,
It's been
feel
great
free,
chatting.
and I'll get back to it when I do, and like maybe in I think not next week, but the week after. I guess that's after the housing event, and yeah, maybe like in 2 weeks, 3 weeks, we'll sync up and we'll see how things worked out, and see lessons learned, and try to figure out how to improve it. Because that's the thing, is
No,
that
it's gonna be
the
great.
more
Yeah.
history, the more experience with this tool, the better it's going to be for future stuff. So,
Yes,
you know,
absolutely. Okay.
all
Well,
right,
I'll
well,
talk to you some other time. Have a good one.
yeah, thanks so much for having me, and take it easy.
Bye. This is Indepan from saddlebagexchange.com, everyone.